how your 9 to 5 is killing your masculinity and what you can do to stop it. So when I graduated college and started my 9 to 5, my first job was a finance job. And in college, I had this idea of finance being like Wolf of Wall Street, like a room full of boys, just like slapping hands, making deals. But it couldn't be further from the truth. When I got into my first job, you realized how nerfed just the common workplace is. You have to be careful about what you say around what person, and it really just takes you away from being your true self. And this was really evident to me just because in college I was in a fraternity. So I was surrounded by a group of guys, and even though we didn't think the same way, we could all have open ideas and not start crying about them or run to HR whenever someone said something that hurt someone else's feelings. And that was just a huge contrast to starting working in an office where you have an HR department, where if you do say one wrong thing to one person or you have some crazy view that you throw out to someone, they immediately run to HR, and the next morning you're getting an email saying, hey, we need to have a talk with you. And what I realized is that office jobs are centered around women. There wouldn't be an HR if women didn't work in the office. Because as men, if you have a problem with another guy, you just tell them or you argue your point with them, and the deal is done. You either learn to live with that guy or you don't talk to him anymore. Now, women like to use other authority to push their power onto people. And so that's why you have an HR, is because a woman isn't going to confront you if you say a view that they don't agree with or that's contrary to popular opinion. They can just run to HR, tell them their side of the story, and then let HR deal with it from there. They don't actually have to take any action towards you. So it's just easier for them to tattle on you to HR, and then they deal with the problem. And there's way more than just HR, because then I quit that job and I thought being a realtor would give me more freedom, allow me to be around more men that were trying to make deals and improve themselves. But no, I was just as wrong. In my office, I worked with half men and half women, but the men were extremely feminized. And that's just because they would play to the women. Like, I would have men in my office walk around calling girls queen or saying yes queen to other girls. And these are men married with children saying yes queen to 20-year-old girls just to placate to them, because I don't know. I never got it, and I can't really get in their mindset, because I would never be walking around saying yes queen to girls, or much less men. These guys, after a while, started calling each other queens. And these were straight guys, I promise you. They had wives and children, and they would call each other queens. And I just really came to realize how weak men actually are. Because you ever think those guys grew up thinking they'd be calling other guys queens in the office? No, but it's just been years of eroding their masculinity, where you're walking around using teenage girl lingo to address other men. And it didn't stop there too. Even in like our work events, our brokerage would have work events for the whole office, and we never did anything cool. We would always do everything that the girls wanted to do. So we'd do things like go mini golf, or we'd go to an escape room, just stuff that I have no interest in. I don't want to go do an escape room. I want to hang around and talk shit with the boys. My best memories in life never came from going mini golfing or doing an escape room. It came literally from just sitting down with some of my best friends and just talking shit to each other and talking about the world. But girls can't handle that. Girls need constant entertainment, and if they do sit around and talk, it's all going to be gossip about other people, and they don't talk shit to each other's faces. And I really miss that in the office environment, because even though you're talking shit to someone, the guys you talk the most shit to their face are the guys you like the most, because you're comfortable calling them out. You have your inside jokes with them, and you guys actually have a relationship, and it's just like your family. You can always talk shit to your family. That's because you're close with them, and they can never really leave your life no matter what you say to them. And that's probably why we're so comfortable talking shit to our families, because they have to love you no matter what. And that's what it was like in my fraternity with a group of men, is like, you can call each other out and talk shit to each other. So what I had to do is find an outlet for masculinity. And first I did this with just like talking to dudes in the gym, making friends with guys in the gym. And while I was able to make some good friendships and guys I could just shoot the shit with and have a good time, talk about aliens or like spirituality, talk about Jesus with them, talk about their other religious beliefs and just not have any problems. I found out that it was hard to find a good group of gym guys that had the same values that I had. They'll go to any girl that shows them any interest. And that was really hard for me because I truly believe that you are the sum of your closest friends. So if you're hanging out with guys that are cheating on their girlfriends or they're not loyal to one girl, then you're eventually going to normalize that. And whether you know it or not, you're going to put that into your own life. So then the next best option I thought of was maybe go to like a Freemasons lodge or like one of those group of guys where it's just like an older fraternity. But I'm a Christian and I have my doubts about Freemasonry, whether it's just for the brotherhood or not. I think that a lot of their practices are contrary to Christian beliefs. So I didn't end up going into Freemasonry or joining any of those clubs. And I'll be honest with you guys, it wasn't until I moved here to Costa Rica, until I found like-minded guys that I could pretty much agree with on everything. And I found friends here that had me over for dinner. We had raw beef tartare. I have friends here that they'll talk about the dangers of fluoride with you and the dangers of chemtrails and other conspiracy theories with you. It's really great just being able to connect with guys that they actually get it and finding my group down here. So what I had to do was quit my job and start my own business so I could move to Costa Rica and be around men that have the same values of me. And that might seem really extreme, but I really believe that the sum of your closest friends is going to dictate your life. And so if you're hanging out with guys who only want worldly desires like money or the new car or new Jordans, you're going to turn into those guys whether you know it or not. So if you're out there, bro, and you still haven't found your true friends, give it time, man, and actually take a conscious effort to make new friends that are going to align with you and your values. Don't just let the friends fall in your lap. Go out and actively make friends with people who have the same values as you. Now, the second thing that's just horrible about office jobs that's killing your masculinity is it's an unhealthy environment. Now, I remember during my office jobs, people would bring in donuts every day, burritos, you name it, the junk food, they would bring it in. And as soon as someone walked in with a box of donuts and put it on the table, everyone in the office would swarm the donuts like flies on shit. And I'm not exaggerating with you guys. When someone would bring in donuts to the office and put them on the table, immediately everyone swarms them, starts picking them apart, grabs their favorites, shoves it down their throat, grabs 2 or 3, grabs one for later. And it's crazy just seeing how addicted people are to sugar and trying to get some dopamine from the mundane office life just to make them happy and get them through the day. And they get that through processed food. And it's not even that. Like, just think about an office. All day you're under artificial light that is just killing your circadian rhythm, and it's low-key depressing you. Because what you don't know about office light is that you're only getting half of the UV spectrum. And you need the full UV spectrum in order to release dopamine in your body. Like when I'm out here in the sun, my body likes that, so it's going to reward it with dopamine because I'm giving it the sunlight it needs to produce vitamin D, which in turn produces testosterone. So when I go home, my body's going to reward me with a good sense of dopamine. It's going to give me that dopamine release. Just like after you work out, you get that good feeling. I was just talking about this with one of my one-on-one coaching clients. It's like, bro, after I work out, I feel amazing. I was like, yeah, bro, that's a dopamine release because your body literally rewards itself when you do something that's beneficial for your health. And you guys have to learn to get addicted to that dopamine rather than artificial dopamine from alcohol or from processed food. So what I had to start doing during my office job was literally take my shirt off and go for a walk every 2 hours. And yeah, everyone in the office thought I was crazy and they had no idea why I was doing that. And I definitely got some weird looks and they thought I was being like promiscuous, taking off my shirt, walking around. But no, I was just trying to get some vitamin D. And what you guys have to realize is your happiness is worth more than any of the judgment that you're going to get from your coworkers. Like, think, if you've ever quit a job before, you never talk to your coworkers again. So when you quit your job, they're not going to remember you. They're not going to even remember the weird things you did. And even if they do, think about the legend you would be in the office once you leave when they talk about, yeah, there used to be some dude who he would just eat meat all day and then take off his shirt and go for walks every 2 hours. Like, I think that's pretty sick that I'm that guy who was weird enough to leave a lasting impression on the office like that. I also used to remember how weird people thought it was that I would just eat ground beef and eggs all day. They would think, man, don't you want any flavor or don't you want anything different? And it's hard to explain to other coworkers that no, this is just the way I eat and this is just natural for me. Especially when they're stuffing their face with donuts every day and then they try and make you feel bad about sticking to your diet. I remember every time someone had a birthday, there was always coworkers that would tell me, come on, just cheat on your diet just this once. Give yourself some freedom. And I'm like, no, because that's what they tell themselves. They're saying, I'm just cheating on my diet just this once. Even though they bring donuts into the office every week and they would have one, they're like, oh, just this once, just this once. And you tell yourself just this once every single time. And then pretty soon you end up 50 pounds overweight. And I saw this real time in my office job when I was a realtor. There was these young girls, they'd come in from college, be skinny, be pretty. And then literally after about 6 months of working in the office, they gained 20 pounds just from eating like shit, going out and drinking every weekend with their friends. And what they don't realize is they're not as active as they were in college, so they're not getting any exercise. So these girls literally morphed into like young, beautiful women into like middle-aged fat hags. And I really got to see in real time how little excuses and little habits add up. So I use that as a lesson and I doubled down even harder on my diet and I became even more strict because I was like, no way do I want to gain all this weight and turn into an old hag. And it wasn't just the girls either. You would see guys come in slim with a full head of hair. And then after 6 months, they're already going bald and gained 50 pounds. And their excuse is they're too busy with work and they're still going for the donuts too. And that brings me to the third point. The office job is just a pit of despair. I've never had one boss who I would want to look like. And that just really hit me hard because what you have to realize is your boss is foretelling the future for you because eventually you want to rise up in that industry, right? And you're going to be where your boss is at, right? So those same life choices are going to turn you into your boss. And literally all of my bosses have been fat and balding, and I would never want to look like them. And whether you realize it or not, men are based off of respect. And if you see that your boss is fat and bald, you're low-key not going to respect them because you know that they're not making life choices that are responsible for themselves. So that really plays mentally on you, and it played mentally on me. I was going home every night thinking like, why is this guy who looks like shit, who can't even take care of himself, telling me what to do, telling me that I have mistakes, when I'm looking at him like, dude, you have so much wrong with you, bro. And most of these bosses will just use their position as a power trip. They see you coming in young, happy, ready to kill the day, and they've been through a divorce and they have 5 kids and they're just bitter. So they're going to try and break your soul. They're going to try and break you down. So any way they can break you down, they're going to do it. And I'm sure a lot of you have gone through this. And an office job also keeps you dependent on keeping the coworkers happy and keeping your boss happy and not being your true self. And that's the ultimate pit of despair. When you go home every day and you realize that you're not your true self, that you had to put on a mask for 9 hours that day and be someone different, someone that would fit in with your office. And that's what I had to do every day. I had to put on a mask. I couldn't go in and talk about conspiracy theories with my coworkers. We were talking about just boring stuff like, ooh, what's the new restaurant that opened up? Or what are you doing this weekend? Any plans for the weekend? Like such boring topics. And they give you the answer, no, no plans this weekend. What about you? Oh, no, nothing much. Not doing really anything. Like, that is so boring. Think about how many times you have that conversation every day with your coworkers. That is soul crushing you. Because what would you rather talk to them about? It's probably not what they're doing that weekend. And even if you did have plans that weekend, you can't tell them because they're going to judge you if you're like, well, I'm probably going to watch some videos on this conspiracy theory and just dive down that rabbit hole. Or I'm going to look up why chemtrails are bad for you. Or maybe those are the conversations you want to have with your coworkers. Talk about chemtrails, talk about fluoride in the tap water. But you know, as soon as you bring that up, they're going to think you're crazy. So you have to put that mask on. And that's when the conversation goes into, oh, I'm not doing anything this weekend. I'm just chilling. But what I would really recommend to any young man watching this is get out there and start your own business so you make the rules for your business and you can be who you want to be. And that's why I love coaching people online, because I attract the guys I want to work with. I attract guys who get it, guys who know that fluoride is bad for them, guys that know that seed oils are killing them, guys that want to maximize their test and put on muscle. I'm working with guys just like me. They have the exact same mindset as me. And it's so refreshing. And starting your business isn't easy work. It takes risk. For a long time, I didn't know if I'd make any money with this. But what I did know is that I couldn't keep going into a job where I had to put a mask on myself and continually fall into that pit of despair. Because yeah, while an office job may give you that security, and it really doesn't even give you security. Think about the people that have been fired from your company and everyone just forgets about them the next day, just like they weren't even there. You are so easily replaceable for your company. It's not even funny. It's really actually really sad how replaceable you are to these companies, how much they don't care about you, and how much when you leave, they're not even going to notice you're gone. And what's the only solution to fix that problem? You have to start your own business and attract people to you that have the same views that you do or who can get along with you. And I promise you guys, it is so much more worth it than falling into that pit of despair. And you guys may be thinking, well, I don't know what business to start. Start with this. Think about what you truly care about, what you would do for free the rest of your life and not even think twice about it. For me, it was fitness and health. I love working out. I love fitness. I love looking into what's poisoning us and avoiding those toxins. So it was natural for me. So it was like, duh, go into fitness. Why did I even try and go into finance? Or why did I even try to be a realtor when I didn't give a shit about houses? Or I didn't give a shit about looking at spreadsheets? Literally, the answer is sitting right in front of you. What do you care about the most? Once you put a pin in that, take massive action and change your life, brother. You only have one life. You might as well make the most of it.